Sounds good.
So, hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Immersive series. I'm your co host for today's gathering, and I'm tuning in from Bucharest, Romania. I want to warmly welcome you to our gathering and swiftly introduce to our guest for today. Kate Sotsenko is an accredited productivity and leadership coach and founder of the GoodBusy.com, helping corporate leaders free up 30% of their time without stress or burnout. With 15 years of leadership experience at brands like Levi's, Gucci, and Soneva Resorts, she teaches practical strategies to work smarter and live better. Her insights have reached 49,000 professionals on LinkedIn and 21,000 newsletter readers. Now based in Cyprus, she's lived in 10 countries and enjoys yoga, hiking, and family time. Thank you for being here, Kate, and over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here as well. And thank you for inviting me. So, today we're going to talk about multitasking. So, the first question that I have for you, who is a proud multitasker? I see a few hands. So sometimes, okay, why do we multitask? I'm curious. Drop it in the chat. Like, why do we usually multitask? What's the reason? I'm just curious to know. Be more productive, too much demand for our time. We're being distracted. Okay, to-do list too long. We have too many things in our plate on our plate and want to be fast. I kind of like it. Okay, distractions to be more effective time-wise, but I think it doesn't help with a focus, so I don't do it usually. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do now first, before I share with you tips and why and how, etc., we're going to put your multitasking skills to a test. Are you ready? Yes? Okay. So it's going to be a three-step exercise, and I'm going to guide you through every single step. Okay. The first thing that we need is three things. You need, I know that we don't usually have that right now, so a pen, okay, or a pencil, it doesn't matter, and a timer. So usually your phone, if you have your phone next to you, or if you want to put your timer on your computer, that's also fine. Okay. So I just want to make sure that everybody is ready. So I see some people on camera and I don't see some of you. So if you drop in the chat your thumbs up or somewhere so that I can see, I can explain the first step, that it means everybody is ready and has, okay, awesome. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first step, this is what we're going to do. Okay, it's not a competition. You're doing it for you. Okay, so we're not going to kind of measure against each other, not a competition, just you. Okay, so the first step, you are going to time yourself while you're doing this. So when you start, you put the timer on, and then when you finished, you stop the timer and you note how long it took you to do this step. Okay, so what is it exactly that you're going to do? Very simple. You're going to write English alphabet from A to Z, and when you've finished, you're going to write numbers from 1 to 26. So here's how it practically is going to look like. I'm going to drop it in the chat. So A, B, C, and then you end with Z. And then you start 1, 2, whoops, sorry, 2, 2, 3, and then you finish with 26. Okay? So this is very, very simple. English alphabet first from A to Z, and then numbers from 1 to 26. Okay? Clear? Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can start. Don't forget to time yourself. When you've finished, write down the time that it took you to do this. When you're done, don't forget to write down the time, okay, how long it took you, and just, again, put the thumbs up so I know that you're ready, and then I can explain the second step. Okay? Perfect. Okay, so here is the second step. We are going to do something very, very similar, but different. Okay, so you still need your timer. So you're going to time yourself, and then you are going to, when you finish the exercise, you stop and you write down the time that it took you to do it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're still going to write down the alphabet and the numbers, but this time we're going to alternate. So you're going to write A1, B2, C3 until the end, until Z26. So here's how it's going to look like. I just dropped it in the chat, okay? So one letter, one number, one letter, one number, okay? When you're done, again, you take note of how long did it take you. Ready to start when you're ready. Okay, I see a few thumbs up already, which is great. Okay. So whenever you're ready, we're going to do a step 3 now, okay? And step 3 is a math formula. I'm terrible at math, so I often mess it up, but I wrote it down in the chat, so I'm gonna drop it now in the chat and I'm gonna guide you through, okay? So now all you need is your calculator, nothing else. So here you go. So you take first the time that it took you to do the first step, and you deduct the time that it took you to do the second step, okay? Then you divide it by the time of the first step. Then you multiply it by 100 to get a percentage. And you'll get either a positive or a negative percentage. And whether it's positive or negative, just drop it in the chat. So if it's minus 11%, okay, maybe plus 20%. I did this exercise last week and I messed up the formula, so I double checked this time, 2 times. So, let's see. Okay, so minus 26, minus 20. I'll see more answers coming. Minus 16, minus 20, minus 36.5, minus 50, okay, we have a lot of minuses, okay? Do you see where I'm getting with it? Minus 78, but I feel like this is high. It's okay, minus 60, it's fine. So what we were doing, okay, minus 60, minus 66. Okay, so in the first step, you were monotasking. You were focusing on one thing at a time. And what were you doing in the second step? Multitasking, right? So whenever you think that multitasking is making you faster and more efficient and helps you to get through your day faster, it's not really like that. it's actually exactly the opposite. And you can see the numbers, right? You can see that you're actually much, much slower when you multitask, because our brain is like it thinks in processes, right? It just can't think at two things at the same time. Okay, especially when it requires very deep work. Okay, so just for you to know, there are 2.5% only of true multitaskers in this world. I was hoping we have one, but we don't. So I learned this exercise from a colleague of mine because I was a very proud multitasker and he put me to a test, but I actually was 36% faster when I did this exercise the first time. But I call it, the beginner's luck. So he was very surprised when every time I do this exercise myself, I'm always about 35 to 40% slower. Okay, so this is just the fact. Multitasking makes us way, way slower. So here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I just hope you all see it and somehow I don't know. Okay, good. I'm trying to find you as well to see everybody as much as I can. Okay, so here is what we're going to do next. Basically, the key message today, the multitasking looks like this. Okay, it's literally that. Okay, that's one message that I want you to take away with you is that multitasking is not helping you out. So this is what we will do in the next, I would say 45 minutes. Okay, so we did the little test here. Okay, I'll share with you a few fun facts about multitasking, the solution, and then we'll look at two problems. We multitask a lot in meetings and we multitask also beyond meetings. So we'll cover each problem one at a time and I'll give you 5 tips for each, okay? We'll also do a quick breakout room at the end of the problem too. And then I'll share with you a bonus tip. And if we have maybe some questions, question time. Okay, sounds good? Okay, let's do this. So a few fun facts. Well, one of them we already know. It makes us way slower, right? So it's about 40% slower. Then there is another one. We are much more likely to make a mistake when we multitask, right? Because we just can't focus on two things at the same time. We think we can, but unfortunately we can't. This is just our biology. And the worst thing of all when it comes to multitasking, to put it in a very simple words, is just makes us a little bit more stupid every time we multitask. Okay, so this is actually what it does, is just harming our brain. And so because of this, because it makes us slower, because we make more mistakes, because we have a drop in our IQ, a lot of our days look like this, right? So you're ready to start your day. And then you think, I'm going to do this important thing. And then you're like, oh, but my emails. And so you start browsing emails, emails, emails until the first ping. And then you're running to a meeting and then another meeting and another meeting and another meeting. And you're multitasking in the meetings as well. Then you come back to your desk, you talk with a few colleagues about those meetings. And then you're checking again, you're piling up emails. And then you see the clock. Woo, it's time to review my to-do list and go back home. Sounds familiar? Yeah. So we all talk a lot about busyness, but in reality, what does busy mean? Busy means being occupied, right? And when we think about doctors, well, they are busy with patients. There is nothing wrong with it. So in reality, it makes us overwhelmed and overworked. It's a lot of it is in multitasking because we are always trying to aim for more and we're chasing more and we're chasing faster. Okay. So, uh, So because of this, a lot of people do not finish their daily task on time. And so they take the work home or even work on weekends. And some people say that they finish work on time every day. I think that they're lying because there is no such thing as perfect. Okay. There are always ups and downs. We all have good days and we all have bad days as well. So what's the solution? The solution is what I mentioned earlier, and it's very simple. So we need to remove this idea and belief that we have about multitasking helping us to be faster and more efficient to actually monotasking. And how do we do that? We need to tame that multitasking monster that we have inside of us, okay? Because we do face it on a daily basis. And we face it in two instances most of the time if you're working for a company or even if you're working for yourself. It's in meetings, okay? A lot of meetings feel like this, I can imagine. Right. And then when we are actually beyond the meeting. So we're trying to do the focus work and we have distractions all the time, whether it's chatting colleagues or whether it's email distractions or something else. Right. So let's start with the first problem, the meetings. So let me ask you this quick question. Let me see if I can find my polls. Okay. So I have, let me ask you this. I'm going to launch a poll for you. Okay, do you see the poll? Yeah? So do you multitask in meetings? Okay, so we have a few that said no. Okay, very good. So, so we have 83% that are saying yes, and we have 17% that are saying no. Okay, I want to ask you another question now. Uh, let me see if I can do it. So you can see the results here, right? Okay. Then, what? Why doesn't ask? Okay, here we go. Sorry. Stop sharing. Now, that's another cheeky question. I am multitasking right now. Ah, that's so easy, right? No matter what we try to do, it's so easy to fall into. It's like, guys, it's almost like 50-50. Okay, so here it is. These are the results. Okay, so 55 of you are multitasking right now. Come back. That's the whole point. Okay, so let's go. What can we do so that why, first of all, we multitask in meetings? So a lot of people admit to multitasking in meeting, and I do think that these are also lying, and we have 17% who said they don't. I hope they are not the ones who actually were multitasking. So what happens is that this is just how we are. We're wired biologically this way. We lose our attention really, really fast. Okay. And because we lose our attention very fast, we get very bored. And so we immediately start doing things. And this is called action bias. We just can't not do things. We often complain about being busy, but in reality, we just love being busy, right? It's like, because if the meeting is boring, okay, I can do my emails, right? I can do something. I cannot just sit and enjoy, right? And the second reason why we multitask as well is because we have attention bias. We actually think that we notice everything, but in reality, we only notice what we focus on. Okay. You can't just see two things at the same time. I mean, unless you can look like this, but I can't. I can only look this way. Right. So this is the reason, kind of the biases that the tricks our brain plays with us. And that's the reason why we multitask. So what do we need to do? We need to actually work on our own attention and also attention of others. Okay. And here I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to do that. So the number one tip is shorten your meetings. We often use the default settings for meetings, right? 30 minutes, 60 minutes. That's the classic, right? How often do you have 15 minutes meetings or 45 minutes meetings? Anyone? No, not so much, right? Because we immediately jump into the default mode. It's available. We are not thinking and we're doing it. But here's what is happening to us when we're actually doing the 60 minutes meeting. Have you ever heard of the Parkinson's law? No? So basically, what the Parkinson's law says is that our work extends to the amount of time we give to it. Okay. So the more time we have, the more likely we are to feel more relaxed. So what do we do? When we are feeling more relaxed, this is how it feels, right? And our attention, we lose our attention, we lose our effort. And so all these distractions, they just creep in, right? And so we're going to take longer to do our work. But when we actually put a little bit of pressure here, we time to finish the task or to finish the meeting simply because it requires us much more effort. And when there is much more effort, there is a little bit more tension and it's much more difficult for the distraction to come inside. Okay, so this is the Parkinson's law. So what you can do whenever you're thinking we need 1 hour meeting, shorten it to just 45 minutes. That will help you increase that, give that a little bit of time pressure, and it will help everyone, you and others, to increase their focus levels, and you will finish that meeting much, much faster, and it will be way more productive than your usual 60 minutes meetings. Okay? Now, number 2, turn off your phone. How many people have their phones off now? Not many. Okay. Usually, every time I do a meeting or I do a workshop, I have my phone off. But today, Andrea knows it's an exception because I do not have I haven't had internet for the whole day. We have power issue. So my phone is on because otherwise I wouldn't be able to connect with you. But it's behind my computer, so I can see it. Okay. Why is that important also? There is a science to it. Okay, you've probably heard expressions like I eat with eyes, or seeing is believing, or keep your eyes on the goal, right? Where does this come from? 83% of our actions are driven by visual cues. So what you see dictates your focus, dictates your next action. So if your phone is next to you in a meeting, you are 83% more likely to pick it up. If your computer is open and your emails are open and your notifications are on, you are much more likely to start multitasking. Okay, so remove those distractions as much as you can. Nothing's going to be perfect, but there are things that you can do. The third one is use visual props. Okay, so we live in such a virtual world, which is great because we can be connected from anywhere in the world. We can see today, yes, but we forget that there are so many things that we can use today, like the prop that I just used, right, to grab people's attention, right? And even when you're doing meetings, for example, face to face in your office, don't forget to bring physical things, right? Because it truly helps to engage people because it creates a little bit of novelty. There's something that is different and attracts their attention. Then number 4 is, how many of you are taking notes by hand right now? A few. Okay. My see Maria is saying, okay, good, good, that's nice. So here's the thing. Our brain is extremely lazy. Okay. So when you're outsourcing listening, you're no longer listening. You're somewhere else. Okay. And so when you're taking notes by hand, what it actually helps you do, it helps you to focus better. It helps you to process what the person is saying and fill in the gaps. And you will ask more questions to fill in the gaps. So you will be much more engaged. And when you are much more engaged, what happens? Your attention levels goes up, right? So opt for the paper notes because scientifically they're much, much better for you in comparison with the AI notes. And then the last one, most importantly, is ask questions. I know that it's a sort of workshop, webinar kind of thing, but if you're leading a meeting, ask as many questions as possible. Ask the audience to engage with you. But when you are not leading a meeting, it's the same thing. It's also your opportunity, your responsibility to make the meeting productive. And you must engage as well if you want to rise your attention levels. If you're not engaging, you're much more likely to, first of all, assume the wrong thing. And so the meeting will not feel much productive, and you will be doing a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing. But most importantly, you will lose your attention very quickly if you're not engaging simply by asking questions in that meeting. Okay? So very simple, not complicated tips. You don't need any AI, you don't need any apps. There is just a little bit understanding of how we think, how we take decisions to help you tame that multitasking monster when it comes to meetings. So what's going to happen when you do that and you actually can be present in meetings and you start monotasking? So you're there, you're not doing your emails, you're not checking your phones, you're not working on the next presentation, right? What happens is that you are actually going to decrease the quantity of your meetings. When you increase this quality, right, you increase the quantity of the meetings because the reason why we're having way too many meetings is simply because we are having meetings about meetings about meetings about meetings, right? Because how many meetings, if I were to ask you today to go back to your calendar and check this week, how many of your meetings have a crystal clear goal? I see heads going like this, smiling. Not so many, right? Well, research shows it's about 45%. So literally, you can cancel 50% of your meetings because they're going to be unproductive. So that's the reason why we have so many meetings, because first of all, they don't have goals. Many of them don't have agendas. And secondly, because we're just multitasking all the time. So we're not there. We don't know what's happening in the meeting. We think we notice everything, but we don't. And we don't ask questions. So we leave meeting with a lot of assumptions and guesses. And then we need to have another meeting to clarify all that, right? So that's the culture of meetings about meetings and about meetings about meetings. Yeah? Resonates or it doesn't? Okay. I've been in corporate for 15 years. So that's more or less was my life for many years. So monotasking in meetings, so that means that you are in meeting. It was your decision, intentional decision to be there, will take you from this kind of meetings to more productive meetings, and it will decrease also the quantity of your meetings in your calendar. Okay. So now let's move on to the problem two. So multitasking beyond meetings. So we are actually, when we multitask, what happens, we are losing a lot of time and focus. So every single time you multitask, you lose about 25 minutes to regain your focus. And we multitask just already on a regular basis because how many tools do you use right now on your computer if you had to do your normal work? You use Zoom, you have email, you probably have some systems, right? There's so many things. You have, I don't know, somebody who maybe has Teams, somebody has Slack. So you have way too many tools and you're clicking between them all the time. So you're already multitasking, right? There is a switching toll that you're paying with your time and focus. But the more multitasking you do yourself, because you think multitasking is helping you to go faster, the more you're harming yourself. So what happens is that a regular person can lose up to 3 hours of focus a day. And when you lose up to 3 hours of focus a day because you multitask, your 8 hour working day becomes an 11 hour working day, right? And you often bring your work home or you stay late if you're working from home, or you're maybe working and compensating on weekends because something's got to give, right? So if you actually want to be focused, you need to learn monotasking. Does anyone do sports? Okay. So when we speak about athletes, right? How many, I don't know, football fans, tennis fans, basketball fans, how many basketball players, football players, or tennis player have you seen multitasking during the game? Not so many, right? I played tennis for 10 years. I can tell you it's impossible. Okay, you're either there or you're not. Okay, so you have to learn to monotask because we often talk about this athlete-like focus, athlete-like performance. One thing that they do that we business people, corporate people, we don't do is that we don't monotask enough. We still believe that multitasking is the way. Okay, so we live in a very distracted world, and it's a lot of noise out there, and AI is adding even more noise, right? Because the whole message right now is that AI is gonna make you faster and you can do more things, so it's even more and more noise. But here's the thing about more noise. it's actually not good for us. It actually fatigues us. It becomes very difficult to take a decision because we think that the more choices we have, the better decisions we make, the faster we proceed, we progress. But it's again absolutely the opposite. The more choices you have, the more things that you're trying to do in a day. And that's what multitasking is about, right? You're trying to do more, so you can check in more boxes. Well, the slower you're going to get because you risk either not doing the thing at all because it's hard for you to make a decision where to start, right? Or you're risking to do a lot of things that shouldn't be done at all, okay? Or you're risking to do a lot of unimportant things, or you're just overwhelming yourself. So if I could recommend you, where is the sweet spot? Whenever you are working and you're planning your day, focus on 1 to 3 must-dos per day. This is the optimal ideal number. And I'm talking about the must-dos. There are lots of things that we're regularly doing. You're checking your emails, right? You're talking to people. But think about the things that you really, really need to do. Focus on 3 maximum. Don't go beyond. One bonus tip that I want to share with you, because when you're doing your planning, and if you really need more than one hand to count all the things that you're going to do during that day, one day, okay, you're probably most likely falling into the paradox of choice. And when you're falling in the paradox of choice, everything becomes urgent, everything becomes important, and you start running, and you're much more likely to start multitasking at any time of the day. Okay, so less is more. And there is a fantastic book by Barry Schwartz who coined this term, the paradox of choice. So there's a TED Talk, 20 minutes if you don't like reading the books. Fantastic TED Talk. Okay. So what do you need to do actually in this noisy world so that you don't multitask as much? Because as you remember from the fun fact, it's not good for us. Okay. So here's the first thing that you can do. Turn notifications. Okay. Emails. So if I were to ask you, if I could do the poll, actually, I should have done the poll. But anyways, how many of you, put it in the chat or raise your hand, have email notifications on all the time on your phone and your computer? I see Julianne saying no. Maybe just on the phone, but not on the computer is still on.
And not with the tone, so.
Okay, good. But it's still, okay, I'll pick up on this one. Okay, so no, okay. Do I see it in the chat somewhere? Yep, yes. Okay. So here is what happens when we have the notifications on. A lot of people that I work with tell me, but Kate, what about urgent emails? Well, the question that I usually ask is that imagine your house is on fire. Are you emailing in the firefighters? Okay. So for those of you who do have their notifications on, for emails, try to turn them off just for 1 week. It's a tiny challenge, okay? And see how many urgent emails you have. So I have a personal story. Once I was in a sort of at my desk working usual day, and then the CEO comes in and says, "Can you take care of this shit?" Sorry for the word, right now. Okay, so, and it was an understatement. He didn't say it, he yelled at me. And that's the proof that you don't email the firefighters. If something is wrong, you're going to call them, you're going to find them, you're going to bring them, but you're not emailing them. So this urgency when it comes to our inbox is a lot of it is very much self-inflicted. Okay, so try this, turn them off. And I think someone mentioned about the phone, right? We don't have the, I mean, you don't have the sound, but you can still see it. Remember what I shared with you about the visuals? So technology studies humans, humans study technology. We are dependent on technology, not technology is dependent on us, right? So if you want to be less dependent on technology, think about it. There is a reason why they are sending you that visual. It's because you're 83% more likely to take action on that. They don't just give you the bing, because if they do the bing, it's only 11% that you're going chance that you're going to take action. So if you don't want to be distracted by any types of notifications, whether it's email, social media, anything, turn them off. Whenever you can, turn them off and you'll see. I know some of you because maybe know me from LinkedIn. I post on LinkedIn almost daily, except on weekends. I don't have LinkedIn app on my phone. If I can survive without LinkedIn app and notifications on my phone, and I go on LinkedIn every day, 20 times a day, I think you can too. And I'm giving this advice, but it's actually bad for me because I want you to follow me, right? And I want you to actually consume my content. So, but I'm trying to kind of do it in service of you. So let's do the second one. So the second one is listening to music. Have you ever noticed how many athletes actually listen to music when they work out or when people are running? It's a lot. Why does this, why do they do this? Is because music actually helps you to get into the flow state, so that maximum focus state faster. Okay, but what it also does, it decreases the perception of the challenge that you're experiencing doing the task. That's why a lot of people listen to music, especially when they go for a run, for example, or when they work out. So try to listen to music. That's a great way to kind of decrease that multitasking and help you focus. What kind of music? To be honest, it doesn't really matter. It needs to be the music that you like and matches maybe the mood of the task that you're doing. Okay, so I generally, when I work, I don't listen to music with words, otherwise I'll be singing and worse dancing. So I try to do lo-fi and something like that. The next one is maricondo. I use it as a verb. For me, it became a verb, okay? And it's also linked to the same thing. If you see way too many things, okay, it's going to create distractions. Remember, what we see is how we feel here, and how we feel here is basically the focus, right? So if you are seeing way too many things and way too many papers, and everything is telling you that you have a different goal and everything is important and urgent, this is how you're going to feel. You're going to feel distracted, and you are much more likely to start doing all those things at the same time and multitask. So whenever you can declutter things so that you can actually have a very clean space. Clean is very different for everybody. It doesn't mean that it needs to be, organized, but keep what you want to focus on. So whenever you're working on something and you need to do some deep focus work, remove all the other tabs. Okay, that's, for example, one of the ways to declutter. When I travel, for example, and I see people working on their planes, I love watching, looking at their desk with 300 files, because that's the fastest way to find things, because they're on the desktop. If you do have that, declutter, because that's the message that you're sending to your brain. Okay, remove that. Your desktop, you actually need to be able to see the picture on your desktop. Okay, you would be surprised how many people still do that. The next one is procrastinate. I mean, that's not a typical advice that you hear from a productivity coach, right? But procrastinate, I mean, the more you resist it, the more you're going to procrastinate. So take time during the day, scroll, do whatever, don't do anything, because it's just like a forbidden fruit. You just remove that forbidden aspect from it because you've done it. You got it out of your system and you can focus right now. So I scroll on my phone every day after breakfast for about 15 minutes, and I don't scroll during the day at all. I don't have a need, right? But it's just a mindful procrastination I developed in the morning, and that's okay. I just remove the temptation for the rest of the day. And last but not least is attention levels. So we all operate differently, okay, but we all have our own internal battery. And it's very important for you to understand how your own battery works. And we're going to do a breakout room on this tiny exercise. But here is how mine looks like. So we often think, and because our work days are 8 hours, we think we have 8 hours of focus a day. We don't. We maximum have 2 to 4 hours of focus a day. And on top of that, it varies from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And understanding your levels of focus can help you plan your work better. So what are you going to do? So when you know how it works, you're going to plan your deep work that requires a lot of focus during your proactive attention times. And you're going to protect this time, and you're never going to accept any meetings during this time. Okay, what you're going to do, you're going to schedule your meetings during your active attention or inactive attention time. And that will allow you to actually progress with your work much faster, because here your focus is at the top level, right? You need that focus and you need that energy to perform your task faster, to think faster, to connect the dots faster, to research, okay? So you need to be very, very mindful of those times. I'll give you, this is my kind of classical example, but I'll give you more. So on Mondays, I don't have a lot of proactive attention, okay? But my very important days are Tuesdays and Thursdays. I never have meetings on those days, very, very rarely, unless I'm doing a workshop or webinar and things like that. But I never would normally have any calls on that day, okay? Because I'm very protective. Yeah,
ask a question?
go ahead.
I lost you a little bit when you told the difference between the proactive attention and the active attention. Can you please repeat that part so that I can understand the rest a little bit better?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
So proactive attention is when you have your highest level of focus and highest level of energy, okay? This is the time when you can enter flow state faster, when you connect the dots faster, when you think, when you have those moments in the day when you're like, oh, I can't think. That means that you are somewhere here in your inactive attention. But here is just everything flows. You're easy. You're almost maybe in your flow state, right? You go way faster. Research says that when you're in a flow state, you can be 500% more faster than on other sort of times of the day. So this one, protect it as much as you can. And trust me, when you put a time blocker in this and nobody can grab that time in your calendar, nobody will ever complain. When you need to do a little sacrifice or something like this because, it's a meeting with a CEO, for example, you'll do it. But that's an exception. 80% of the time, you will be able to protect that time. And it means that you will be much more productive and focused during the day. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into breakout rooms, and Andrea is going to help us with that. And what I would like you to do in the breakout rooms is just probably open your calendar just for yourself, but look at your calendar, like think about it, right? Try to maybe map it on a piece of paper, how yours typically look like, right? And then you look at your calendar and see, well, am I actually protecting my time or am I giving it to something else? Right? And do I usually have meetings there, or do I have coffees or chats with my colleagues there when I should be actually working? Right? Just do this a little bit of reflection. And then when we come back, we can talk a little bit about it.
We're just creating the breakouts right now.
Yeah. So we'll be there for 5 minutes, right? Just
Yep.
a quick one.
Yep. I've opened the rooms. We'll just come back at 52. Right. Right. Yeah. I think everyone is back from the breakout.
Okay, good.
Welcome
Yeah.
back.
How was it? Insightful?
Nice,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah? Okay. Noticed a few changes that you can make to your schedule? Okay, good. That was the point. As long as you do that one thing after the workshop, then great. It's a success for me. So I just hope that you can enjoy your days more. Okay, so this is, I was inspired by this, and I've learned kind of not just in this book, but particularly this way of representing it. It's in the book called The Productivity Ninja by Graham Alcott. So if you are curious, he's just, I think his company is called Productivity. Okay, so what happens when you start monotasking instead of multitasking? Well, you're gonna make less mistakes. Okay, so we looked at the number; it's up to 50%. So it means that you're going to do less repetitive work, right? So basically, you're gonna do less unnecessary work. That's what it is, and that's how you can free up time from what I say unnecessary work. Now, I have a bonus tip for you. And we were just chatting about it with Andrea while you were in the breakout rooms. So there is such thing as healthy multitasking. Okay, it's like, oh, she was just telling us don't multitask, and now she's saying that it's healthy. Okay, so it's you do that naturally, and Andrea just mentioned about it. All right, it's her example was cooking, right, and doing something. So it's one deep work task plus one habitual task. Actually, it makes you much more productive. So there are many examples, and I'm sure you have yours after I'll introduce you to a few of mine. So during the meetings, right, go for a walk. I mean, if you have a dog, take your dog with you. My team used to do their one-on-ones like this. Okay, and I don't mind, right? We're just talking on the phone. We don't need to see each other. We know each other really, really well, and it's a great way to do a very, very productive one-on-ones. Okay. Analysis for me, I like to do it with music. So that's an example that I gave kind of earlier, but that is also multitasking, except you don't need to do anything when you're listening to the music, right? And rehearsing, what I mean by rehearsing, for example, when I used to be in corporate, I used to rehearse my presentations all the time, which I also do with my workshops, by the way. So I often do it when I cook. And because I don't like cooking, my cooking is cutting rabbit food, salads. So it goes really, really well together. Okay. So create your own kind of mix and match, things, but it's okay to multitask. Just remember one deep work task plus one habitual task, not two deep work tasks. Okay. What else Ines said, I often like to draw or color when I'm listening to meetings and I don't have to talk. I don't make many notes normally, but doodling helps me. But doodling is a fantastic way to focus, and it's a great way to take notes as well. It's handwritten notes. I just can't draw. That's why I use the stickman from someone else. My sister is the drawing one in the family, so she took all those genes from me. Okay. So yeah, again, multitasking is a monster. Here's what you need to do it. You need to tame it. And by taming it, you actually start making better decisions. And that's what productivity is about. We talk a lot about apps and AI, but here's the thing. Apps are just virtual to-do lists. Who decides what to put in the app is you. Who decides what gets done and what doesn't is you. Who decides what to prioritize is you. Okay, so a lot of it is on you, and it often starts with goals. Okay, so if you want to go faster, monotask, slow down, because that's the fastest way to get to where you want to be. And that's what I want you to kind of to remember. Okay, the multitasking is the slippery slope that you saw in the beginning, and monotasking will really actually speed up your work. That's it for me. And we still have 3 minutes left for the questions, unless you want to give me feedback, because I want to learn too. So you can you can scan this, or I can drop it. Also, I have a link. Let me find it. You can also do it later. That's also fine. But it's super helpful for me just to learn as well, to improve and make it better each time. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm here for you. Any questions? I saw a question earlier. Let me see. It was Shira was asking. I don't know if Shira is still here. No?
Yes, I am here. I think
Yeah.
you actually answered it. Someone came off mute and asked you to clarify the difference between the different attention times on the calendar.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you addressed it. Thank you.
Yeah. So just, to add to this, active attention time, I really use it for really, really focused work. I try not to do during that time any meetings at all, whether it's one-on-one, anything, unless it's really, I can't move it, postpone it, I don't have another time. And meetings is a great way to have it during your sort of active attention time, or even inactive attention. Especially inactive attention is great for one-on-ones, because there you don't have a choice. You need to be focused. You can't multitask, right? So you are actually making much more effort. So you are extending your attention. And it's a great way to do it there during the inactive attention time. And consider also your days. That plays a huge role as well. So because a lot of people, I work with someone, they say like, I'll do my very important tasks on Friday, but they never get done. And I'm like, I wonder why. But it's just really understanding that on Friday we don't have a lot of energy. That's just a fact. We're the phone. It has batteries, so we also need a battery recharge. So I see someone asking about the slides. Actually, I'm gonna drop them in the so let me see up. Trying to fit everything on my screen. Okay, let me see. It should work. So yeah, so this is a normal PDF, but I'm using a different system for the slides, but you have all the information on the PDF. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Shira.
I actually just thought about this. I'm really bad at it, but I did try it at one point. Any comments, thoughts, or suggestions about like time blocking, specifically like the Pomodoro method? Have you found any success with that? I asked specifically because I find myself trying to focus for like 2, 3 hours at a time, and it's not always effective. So I'm curious if you have any guidance around that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I heard two things there, right? So there is the time blocking and Pomodoro. So the only productivity app that you need, it's free, and you have all of you have it. It's your calendar. So if you're not time boxing your calendar, start, because whatever is not in the calendar is not your priority, doesn't get done. But it's the how we time box, okay, that matters. So we need to learn to time box effectively. I do post, I think I've recently posted about it on LinkedIn, or if you can't find it like within my post, just reach out to me and I'll guide you to the post. Okay, but I posted about it. When it comes to Pomodoro technique, and it's a good question, like how long can I last? That's your attention time. That's how you know yourself, right? You need to build that awareness about yourself. So, for example, I have people that I worked with and I have friends for who Pomodoro technique works really well. And I don't know, everybody knows what a Pomodoro technique? Yes? Okay. It doesn't work for me personally at all. If I'm in the thing, I'm in the thing. And that's it. I don't stop. So, but that's just me. It doesn't mean that you can copy paste what I do and apply. We're all different. And that's the thing. Copy paste only works in Excel because it's the same cells all the time. Okay. Take Excel to Word, it doesn't work the same, right? So that's why you need to try things and to see what works for you. But if you see that Pomodoro is working for you, then use it. That's great. But if it's not working for you, don't push yourself to use it. That's just not for you. Yeah. So glad you're saying it. Pomodoro also never worked for me, but for me, yeah, it does. Like I have clients, it works really well for them, especially ADHD. That apparently works very well for me. I have a different problem. I'm OCD, so that's a different problem. That's maybe why I'm like detail, and so yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
Yes, say
you
hi
for
to your
sharing
toddler.
all your knowledge.
Thanks, Carolina. Thanks.
Bye bye.
So I have OCD, I feel you. Yes. So you see, that's a different one. OCD leads to perfectionism, and so you need to manage the other thing. And so lots of different things. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And do connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to stay in touch. So
Can you share your LinkedIn in the chat?
yes, I will share my LinkedIn in the chat. Give me a second.
Andrea
Already shared it.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Already did? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yes, thanks, Maria. Thank you so much. And thank you
All right.
for reading the newsletter.
Thank you.
Oh,
Bye.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you.
amazing. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you. Bye, Julian. Bye.